Hi, I'm Stephen Tryon. I founded accountabilitycitizenship.org in order to build and sustain a community of positive, informed, and engaged citizens. If you've been paying attention for the last few weeks, you'll have noticed that the American president has started to talk about firing the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, because he doesn't think he's moving fast enough on interest rates. He doesn't like the level of interest rates that the Federal Reserve is setting for America. Now, I don't know if you know much about the Federal Reserve, but basically it's a committee of very experienced business people who run the various Federal Reserve banks. And that committee together jointly sets the interest rates based on the best economic data that they have. Another thing, just on Friday, the jobs report was released by the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and the jobs report was unfavorable. President Trump didn't like the jobs report, and so President Trump fired the head of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. Now, both of these things are completely inconsistent with a free capitalist economy, with a free capitalist society, like what we've experienced and enjoyed in the United States of America over the course of my lifetime. Now, the old Soviet Union, back in the old days, the communist Soviet Union used to have a centralized planned economy. They would publish 5-year plans and they would have these grand targets. And the idea was that by centralizing planning and by centralizing resources and setting things like interest rates, et cetera, they could improve the efficiency of their economy. And they failed. And they failed because economies generally are fairly complex things. And in particular, the American economy, the largest and most successful economy in the world, is far more complex than any one person can manage or direct. So the idea that any American president would think that it was appropriate to try to direct the Federal Reserve's interest rate setting, or that any American president would think to fire a government expert who's published data based on a very complex process that the president found unfavorable is, to say the least, alarming. And when you put that together with the fact that the president's budget cut funding for some of the best sources of independent information that American citizens have, National Public Radio, public broadcasting system, these things have been cut in the most recent budget. When you combine that with the fact that you've got this guy in charge who's acting like a communist dictator, that becomes especially alarming. We all need to wake up and understand the direction that our country is going, that it's not the right direction, and that we need to use the midterms coming up in November of 2026 to turn Congress back over to a group of people who can bring this president under control. Because right now, he's pretty much out of control as far as I can see. And it's not good for our country. I'm Stephen Tryon, and I founded accountabilitycitizenship.org to build and sustain a community of positive, informed, and engaged American citizens. It's more important than ever that you pay attention and that you communicate with your friends and neighbors about what you're seeing, and that you get out and vote in November of 2026 to put our country back on the right track again, because we're not on the right track right now. Thank you.